Shimon was so discouraged about himself. He was so disappointed in his behavior. He was so disappointed that he couldn't be the man that he declared himself to be to Yeshua. When he said, I'll go to prison, I'll even die for you. Instead, he denied him 3 times. So he's so down on himself right now, so discouraged. He says, I'm going to go back to doing what I know to do, and that is to be a fisherman. Because Yeshua came and called him into the ministry. In the early days, he was a fisherman. And so now he's just going back to do what he knows he can do and be a success at. They went out and immediately entered into the boat, and that night they caught none at all. They didn't catch a thing. But when it became early morning, Yeshua stood on the beach. However, the taught ones did not know that it was Yeshua. And Yeshua said to them, children, have you any food? They answered him, no. And he said to them, throw the net on the right side of the boat, and you shall find. So they threw, and they were no longer able to draw it in because of the large number of fish. That taught one, whom Yeshua loved, then said to Kepha, it is the master. So this is talking about Yochanan or John. He said, it's the master. Then Shimon Kepha, hearing that it was the master, put on his outer garment, for he was stripped, and plunged into the sea. So as soon as Shimon Kepha heard that it was the master, he took his outer garment that he had taken off and he put it back on. And he dove into the sea because he wanted to see the master. He had been told by the women that the messenger, the angel, had said, be sure that you talk to Kepha. And now the master is on the shore and he's talking with his disciples, and Yochanan, John, says, it's the master. And what is the first thing that Shimon Kepha does? He reaches down and grabs a garment. And you know, that speaks to me that he actually reached down and took up the mantle, the anointing, the calling, the purpose that the Almighty had for his life. This is figurative, but he reaches down and he picks up the garment and puts it back on. He puts back on the original purpose of Elohim for his life. He puts back on the original calling. He clothes himself in that original prophetic anointing. And he plunges headlong into the sea. He's all in now because Yeshua loved him so much to come back to restore him. So he re-cloaks himself with that original purpose. And he jumps in. He plunges into the sea. He's all in now. And I want to say to some of you that are on the sidelines, you've gone back to whatever it is you did before you received the calling. And you're doing that. You're painting cars, you're building houses, you're working on your computer, you're doing this, that, or the other thing. And you've disqualified yourself, but the master hasn't disqualified you. And so Yeshua has such a compassion for you. This message is going forth today to encourage your heart that your failure is part of the plan. Remember, Yeshua prophesied the failure after he prophesied that great purpose and the way that the Almighty was going to use Shimon Kepha in a powerful way. But in prophesying the failure, that didn't change the master's mind about Shimon Kepha, because Yeshua understood that going through the process of trial and failure was going to bring Shimon to a place that he needed to be so that he could fulfill the very purpose of the Almighty for his life. And so I want to encourage you. This message is like Yeshua standing on the shoreline calling out to you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this message? If you're like Shimon Kepha, you'll reach down and you'll reconsider that original calling. You'll reconsider that original purpose. You'll think about those prophecies that have been spoken over you. And you won't let the failure be that thing that causes you to discontinue or sidelines you for life. but you'll let the failure be the very thing that makes you, that prepares you, that gives you the perspective that you need, that humbles you, that brings you to a place of trust like never before, belief like never before. And when you get there, then you can pick up that original purpose, that original calling, that original mantle. You can put that garment back on and you can plunge headlong into the sea and get on with what the Almighty has called for you to do.